Hey guys, today Shorty and I are doing our grand final tip for season 2015. It's here at last.
Yeah, it is, and we're not too happy about it after all this time. It's rolled round and, the Hawks are there.
Yeah, with the Eagles, and I'll tell you what, I think I got asked a question in the Q&A before the final started, like, what's every result going to be? It's like, I don't care what the results are, it's going to be a Hawthorn and West Coast grand final, so...
Yeah, it's panned out that way.
It's happened, and they'll be playing on the Saturday, October. It's going to be a warm one too, apparently, and I don't really think we're that keen on watching it anyway, so...
No, I'll be hitting the golf course. It's the first grand final I'll deliberately not watch.
Yep, Pidgey boy?
Don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't know if he plays much golf, but possibly something.
See how we go. Yeah. Alrighty. So we got the Eagles, the Hawks, the two best teams basically over the course of the season, and for the most part, how do we see it going, mate?
Yeah, they deserve to be there, don't they? So it's probably a fitting grand final. And look, my premiership tip for a long time has been West Coast, but that was based on the fact that I thought once West Coast beat them that first time over in Western Australia that the Hawks couldn't come back and get to the grand final, which they did. But when it comes to an MCG granny against an interstate team, I feel Hawthorn will win. So it's a bit contradictory, if you know what I mean. Like, it doesn't quite make sense, but my premiership tip was based on the fact that I just didn't think the Hawks could make back-to-back WA trips and things like that. But here we are, they did. Yeah. And look, I think the Hawks will win. I think it'll be close. I certainly think the Eagles stand a very good chance. I thought the betting odds were a bit one-sided, which were a bit strange, but the ruck will be a key battle. Nick Nat has to dominate, and he has to give silver serves to Pritis, Maston, Shuey, Gaff.
For sure, yeah.
I think that's one area they can get up on. And look, their forward line has to fire, because there's more variables with West Coast, because we know what Hawthorn are going to do. They've been there, they've done it, they do it all the time.
Yeah, fourth in a row, yeah.
Yeah, so I think discussing them, you might want to touch them a little bit, but I think we know what they're going to produce. We know their areas, uncontested marks, kicking, all this.
I've never heard so much talk about uncontested marks until the last month.
So many goal kickers, so many big game players. That's why they're good. So
yeah, it's no surprises here.
That's right, but I feel more than ever it starts in the midfield, because if the Hawks get good service in the midfield, then they could make West Coast's underman backline look a bit poor, because they get a little bit of protection by the great service of Nick Nat. I mean, he helps the midfield and the backline.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he helps everything.
They can set up with a bit less pressure. So
that's right. So
my thoughts.
Get that team defence happening before it becomes a problem after they've already relinquished the clearance.
Yeah, no, that is right.
So there you go. I'm going with the Hawks. Just throw a margin there, mate.
9 points.
9 points. All right. I'm going to tip the Hawks by 20 points. Just because you went 9? Nah. I was always going to say 20. And you just can't see them losing. I mean, but whenever they get in this position, they're generally the favourites, and for good reason. Even though Sydney were last year, which is quite intriguing. But they were the best team over the course of the year that time around. And yeah, you feel like they're primed to just do it again. It's just so sad to say, and I'm so sick of the same grand final popping up each year. It's just why do we have a competition? It's just it ends up Hawthorn versus Team X. Like, I'm over it. We're all over it. Yeah, we were damn lucky and fantastic to get into as many grand finals as we did over our course. So yeah, you can call me a hypocrite there if you like, but at least we allowed Collingwood and St Kilda in 2010, and a few upsets as well. So Hawthorn, if they don't have basically if West Coast don't play the way they play week 1 against the Hawks, you can just write them off instantly. It's not hard to beat Hawthorn. I've said it 100 times how to beat him. You just apply severe pressure over the 4 quarters. Don't allow them time and space. Don't allow so many uncontested marks, which is the state of the final series almost. And I guess limiting the influence of their best players, even though they dominated last time and still lost comfortably. But just winning those crucial 50-50 matchups is big in a grand final. Have to make the most of the opportunities. I can just see West Coast not being quite up to it. I can see a similar result with Fremantle sort of, I guess, choking on the big stage, if you like, which was terrible to watch. It was no words for it, really. And because Hawthorn have been there so many times, and you just can't see them losing. I mean, Port Adelaide were probably maybe it's a case study for Port Adelaide as well, where they were really good for a few years and they finally got what they deserved against a team that was the best in September. But I just can't see Hawthorn choking, put it that way. They deal with pressure so much better than anyone else. Shown against Fremantle, top of the team, top of the table, even though they didn't necessarily show in the second half of the season. So I can see very similar scenes happening.
Yeah, I honestly give West Coast a really good chance.
I do too, yeah.
To be honest, mate.
I don't think it'll be comfortable if Hawthorn can win it, but I can just see those variables going against West Coast.
Yeah.
I hope they don't.
Yeah, and just finally, I think there's Hawthorn and this Hawthorn team have the mental edge and the game edge and physical edge on almost every team in the league with this dominant era. I think there's only one team in the league that can game style and matchups and players that can beat Hawthorn, and I think it's West Coast. So that's some sort of saving grace. So, Hawthorn will go in favourites, and so they should, but I wouldn't be underselling West Coast.
No, definitely not. Yeah, I genuinely believe it's a 55-45.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
I'll go with that, and hopefully it's a good game, but I don't think it really matters if it is or isn't, because we're not going to be, I doubt we'll be watching it, so don't need to see that. No, we'll get too annoyed, so...
It's 100-0 chance I'll be watching it. Unfortunately I won't be, mate.
Yeah, there you go. Alright, so that's our grand final tip for season 2015. Feel free to put down who you think's going to win, how much and why. That'd be great. That's the last tips for the year, mate. That is the last tip.
Good stuff, mate.
We'll be back for them next year, no doubt. So thanks for sticking around, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. That'd be terrific. And we'll see you all next time.